So today I'm here with Blake Dembling. Our kids go to school together. They're around similar ages. And we're talking about all the stuff that comes up, after toddlerhood at the stage we're in now. We kind of say like bigger kids, bigger problems. So Blake, tell us what's on your mind.
When Jenny asked me to be on her podcast, the first thing that came to mind, which is something I feel like since we're coming out of summer, being naked around your kids. I have two girls, so for me, I'm going to be naked in front of my kids. But when is it appropriate for their dad, or when is it inappropriate at this stage? My kids are almost 5 and 6.5 to not see him naked anymore. I grew up in like a very open household, but I do remember my dad and I taking showers together with a bathing suit on, like starting at like the age of 3. I'm already out of that. So I feel like we need to cut the cord before I like do serious damage.
What made you think that there needs to kind of be a cutting of the cord? Like, did one of them say something?
Before a shower recently, this is TMI, but before a shower recently, I was like, what are the rules of the shower? Like, if you're going to do this, you have to like, everyone's privates are their privates. And my younger one was like, don't touch the penis. And they got out, they touched it. So I said to them, it has to be over. But like, what does that entail? So does that mean they can't come into my room if he's in the shower?
I think each family is so different. You and I have talked about how we're more comfortable with nudity and, we have daughters, so we're comfortable being naked all the time around our daughters and vice versa. And I think we say that easily. I think for some people, even with daughters, that wouldn't be the case. So I think just knowing that in your household, nudity is a comfortable, uninhibited element in your family, and to hold on to that if it feels good and comfortable, but to also talk about consent. When you're talking about don't touch daddy's penis, it shouldn't necessarily be like that's just the ground rule. What about why? They're 4 and 6, so you can talk about it and tackle such an important topic that we don't touch people's privates, they don't touch yours without consent or even being in each other's space. I think we can even pull back for any listeners who have younger kids. You can talk about consent right from the start in a different way. When you see young kids going and running and giving someone a hug and you're like, I think he wants space or she wants space. We ask people before we touch them. And I think that's what you can talk about when you even if he is wearing a bathing suit, we don't touch other people's bodies without asking. When a child starts to think about or focus a little bit on privacy, when they're really young, they don't think about that. But I think at least even my 4-year-old, when she was 3, when she would poop on the potty, even starting potty training, she would be like, I need privacy. And I think that's a time when you can implement wearing bathing suits and, or not being nude in the bath or shower because, they're starting to be aware of things being private and you want them to hold on to what they want to be kept private. Right. Some people say it's when they can say the word, and I think it also goes along with like some people breastfeed until their kids are older. So like I said, I think each family is different, but it sounds like those are like some good starting points for your family. But tell me what your thoughts are thus far.
I think you're right. And also like sometimes when they are in the bathroom, whatever they may be doing, they do want privacy. So perhaps like next time Romy asks for privacy, I could be like, see, you need your space. We need to respect, like, I'm respecting your space by giving you privacy. You have to respect daddy's space.
You and John talked about it before. It could be like maybe he would say, wait, I'm going to get my bathing suit. Right. I want privacy. And you can talk to him about that.
Right.
I just want privacy on the bottom. I want my penis to be private, but I still want to take a shower with you.
Right.
These are such uncomfortable topics to talk about. And even being in a studio with like, people recording and stuff because they were so uncomfortable for us. I do remember, like, for instance, my sister getting her period and me thinking like she was dying because I wasn't informed of what it meant. Like, I think the more we don't know as kids, the scarier it is. And that like kind of follows you. While I'm so comfortable talking about it now, I feel like growing up, I was like, and I was uninhibited at home, like walking around nude, but I was like beyond inhibited when it came to like, you know, being intimate with like a boyfriend or anything like that. And I think the more that we normalize it, the more we can make safe, healthy decisions when it comes to just being outside our home.
Do your kids know what a period is?
I was wearing earrings one morning dropping off Nell, who's 4, and we joke sometimes when the girls love something that I'm wearing or I have, I'll be like, maybe one day I'll give it to you when you're older. And so Nell's like, Mommy, can I have those earrings when I'm older? I was like, yeah, maybe. And she's like, but am I going to have to wear tampons when I'm older? I'm like, you will. And she started crying. She was like so upset thinking about this. Meanwhile, I've never made it like a scary thing. So you could see how like something like that, even when you haven't made it a scary thing, can feel so scary to kids. And some people, when I've told the story, are like, but how does she even know? And the truth is, like, since they're little, like, they've gone into like my cabinets and seen tampons. I'm not then explaining when they're younger what it is, but there's been times they've barged in and I am flushing the toilet. And, you know, when they, instead of me like quickly shutting the lid or something, I've talked about when you're older, you know, this will happen to you. It's nothing to be scared of. It's less about having a script or knowing exactly what to say in response to your kid and more about being open. And so, yeah, I think for Nell, the period's scary because it's sort of abstract. There's like blood involved. But like, I think it's healthy that she's not like, boom. I mean, I don't even know when kids get their period these days, but I think like 50, I was late, 15.
Oh, wow.
You boom, and like, what is this? And when I've shared a little bit about this on social media, people are like, oh my God, I wish I knew about it. I remember thinking like something was wildly wrong with me when I got mine. So yeah, I think the less unknown, the less scary it is for kids.
I agree. I vaguely remember my mom like changing her tampons when I was younger. And same with you. Like my kids come in and there is zero privacy. So they've seen what a tampon is. I don't know. They don't understand it. I've tried explaining. I've kind of just put it off and said it's something that happens when you're a teenager. But I feel like when I got it and I was 11, I mean, it was still scary, but like I was prepared almost. Like seeing my mom.
Because you had seen you were like, I know what this is.
Yes.
Ish. Like,
I feel
know
like
that
the
this
first time I
happens.
smelled like body odor on me, I was like actually more scared.
Right.
Because I like feel like the only person I'd ever smelled that on was like my uncle. And I'm like, I smell like Uncle Andrew. Like, what is going on? And my mom's like, you have body odor. You need to start wearing deodorant.
It reminds me, did you see Inside Out too?
Yes.
It's just why that movie is one of my favorites in the entire world.
And Romy will talk about that. Like, she'll be like, when do I get pimples like you? Riley got them when she was 12. And I was like, probably that's what's going to happen to you.
Yeah, the questions and the topics are endless, but it just goes in line with the more that we can respond in a not, oh, we're not going to talk about that way, or like changing this subject, the more I think our kids are better prepared and know what to expect in a healthy, non like sort of traumatizing way. And I think it ranges how we're going to respond and how much detail and how many questions we're going to get back. And we're always uncomfortable because we never are prepared for these conversations. It's not like our kid is like, I'm going to ask you what a period is later, so get prepared. So we're usually like, what? Like when I was talking about my earrings with Nell and she said that, I wasn't prepared. But I think it's responding in a way that makes them feel it's okay to ask and seeing where it takes you. And I think that goes in line with like so many parenting things, feeling like you have to get it all right. Has anything ever come up like watching a movie or?
So I was shocked. We were watching Addams Family too. And they mentioned sex a lot. And I was like waiting. And I'm like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? And like, thank God.
Like, did they glossed
over? No, they glossed over it. They didn't even ask. But they have asked me questions like, who is God? Where did we come from? And I'm like, do I go into evolution? Do I talk about like the Torah? I mean, I'm never prepared. And I don't want to sound dumb by being like, let me get back to you. But like, that kind of feels like the only thing I can say in that moment.
This is like one of the reasons why I wanted to name the podcast We Didn't Turn Out Okay, not because I feel that everyone didn't turn out okay, but because there's such a contribution from how we were brought up to how we parent. And unless we, recognize that none of it was perfect, we realize we don't need to be perfect, and that what okay is so kind of subjective. But when you're talking about evolution, that would never have been like my, thought, even though I'm like such a science-based person. In my head, I would have been like, what did I grow up knowing what God is? And that would be like kind of influencing how I parent, and how I answer them. So I think first and foremost, are we comfortable with what we were taught God is? And then how, thinking about it for a second, did you think evolution because that's what you were taught?
No,
or
I don't know why it like popped up into my head.
maybe because you wanted it to feel more science and less
right. Or maybe like, is this what they're going to teach her in school? Like, so maybe if she's like kind of prepared, that's like better for her. I mean, who the knows? But like, I mean, I've explained sort of like Adam and Eve, and then she's like, but where did they come from? Like, who were their parents?
I'm trying to think of what I would say. I think I would say, as much as I remembered and liked about the story that I knew, we're both Jewish. And so we have like similar stories of it. And then the areas where you don't know, you could say, actually, I don't remember that. I'm not sure, but you might learn about it in school or Hebrew school or whatever it is. I think it's okay to say that. Or, I'm going to actually like look and find out. It's okay to say you don't remember it. Not lying. Like you can't say, I don't remember what sex is when they ask you.
Right.
But I don't remember how Adam and Eve came, whatever. So I think that's okay. And it's not about like having the perfect answer. And it's also really healthy to say you don't know. Kids need to know we don't know everything.
But to that point, then she would be like, well, just Google it. And that's like also like, I feel like,
you can say Google doesn't
have
always
all the answers, right?
But so they didn't ask about sex during the Addams Family, which I didn't even know that they talk about it there.
Like Wednesday talks about it, and then Uncle Fester loses his virginity. I mean, it was very like PG how he loses it, but she said, "Are you like?
What
is
do you
this
mean,
really?"
Like they don't show it.
Like he's just like, oh, and then it's over. Like she's
they
on top
show
of
like a sex scene?
No, they're not naked. I can't. I mean, like I was so like fabuzzled in this moment, being like, oh my god. I'm like, should I fast forward? What do I do here? Oh my god. So I was just like panicking. I wasn't really paying attention, but they weren't naked. But whatever. That mean girl was like, is this really your first time having sex?
And so you thought they might ask. Have you ever talked about this with John? Like afterwards in private, like what do we say if they ask?
I've asked him like, I haven't asked him about sex, but like I feel like he's like the more calm, sensible one of the two of us. So like I will be like, oh, she asked about this, or like, how do you think I should answer that? Or I'll just be like, can you handle that? But like,
and he does.
Yeah.
And so how do you think he navigates it?
I don't know. He's just like more thoughtful than I am. Like, I'm just going to like word vomit and then she'll probably tell someone at school.
When they're like, what does sex mean? They don't know that they're asking about something that's like so in our minds rated R. And so we have the ability to like keep it not taboo, age appropriately so. So thinking about sex is something that happens when, you're older and you fall in love. And I feel like that is like kind of going to blow their mind in and of itself. I don't think that some kids will be like, well, what do you mean? But I think a lot of kids, that's like enough.
Right. Also at like this age.
Right. Similar to like the whole like period answers, like it's enough to just like give something to like hold on to and, kind of close the door for now.
Right.
And then I'm sure like weeks later or whatever, as they get older, they'll be like, remember when you said this? Like, what else about it? And like something else that came up.
Like, do I ever have to like go into detail, you think?
It depends on what they say, but I think that you don't have to talk about that and,
the like, inner workings.
Right, until they start to know what all of the things are, which I guess there's never too early of it. Books are really helpful with this.
Right. I don't have any books like that. Yeah.
I think it's, if they start to ask, it's like a great time to get books. Like there's some kids who know what all of the body parts are down to like intricate elements of the penis or vagina. And that's not necessarily bad. And I think the more they know, the safer, honestly. But I do think, which is why like I never say to call the vagina something else or the penis something else so
Right.
that kids know the right word for it. If a kid is asking, what do you mean when a man or a woman are together? You can say, be like, I need to think about that. I feel like that's a helpful tool for you.
I agree.
What were you saying before this that you wanted to say that you don't parent gently?
Right. I would say that, like, I wouldn't say Jenny's like a gentle parent, but she does all those tricks. Like, I know how you're feeling. I know it must be so hard. And I literally parent the exact opposite. I actually felt bad last night because my older daughter, like, couldn't sleep for whatever reason. She's torturing me like I tortured my mom with the sleep. And I was just like, I was like really mean to her and I kind of felt bad about it. I mean, like
you just snapped and you were
I was just like, enough, go to bed. Please leave me alone. Do not come out. It was 10 o'clock at night. Like I was ready to.
Right. So what felt mean?
I don't know. She was like crying and I just like felt like I deserted her. And then like this morning I was like, did she go to bed crying? Does she feel like I'm a bad mom? And she will, like, sometimes when I'm screaming at her, it's like, this is the worst age, I think. Or I'm just like not prepared for this age. And like maybe when she's 13, I'll be like, oh, I wish she was 6. But for now, she's like,
God,
other moms don't do this to their kids. I'm like, how do you know? She's like, because they don't. I used to get in fights with my parents every night. I had like a sleeping problem.
And what do you remember feeling about it?
I mean, subconsciously though, like there was stuff going on. Like my mom had breast cancer. So like I feel like I knew something was like afoot. So I feel like that was like my way of acting out. But like there's nothing underlying in our current household to like make her feel this way.
When did it start?
Honestly, maybe like pre-K.
You said it's when she started pre-K. It's also when kids are away from us longer. And so in their minds, they know, I think they wake up and they're like, I leave mommy and daddy again. So like the going to bed is more monumental. It's like saying goodbye to then wake up and kind of say goodbye again. And there's less time to connect with the parents. So that's why a lot of times you see regressions or the whole like routine of come lay with me or sit with me for hours. They just like want to make up for that connection time that they're kind of lacking from us during the day. I just shared about this, that when we know that that's kind of the reason, and especially when we can't give more, I talked about the 9 minutes in the day.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah, like don't sacrifice the first 3 minutes, 3 minutes after they come home from school and the 3 minutes before bed. So and I know you're like, she's going to need like 3 hours, not 3 minutes. But if you really start that, like imagine her waking up for 3 minutes. And we've talked about this, how you're like, don't leave your room until you're dressed. And I'm like so jealous of that. But anyway, maybe when she wakes up, you go in and for 3 minutes, it's all about what like Romy wants to wear or like what Romy wants to do or just talking for 3 minutes.
So they share rooms. So like what would I do with Noah in that point? Like kick her out of the room? Like that's where I'm like, what do I do here?
So do mine. And I think that you can, 2 things. The 3 minutes doesn't necessarily need to be, even though I talked about it. Like I said, it needs to be with each child. Someone's like, I have 3 kids. This is so helpful. I'm like, well, for you, it's going to be like 27 minutes. Is that the right math?
Yeah.
But I think make it 6 minutes then, or you can say, I'm going to have special 3 minutes with Romy and special 3 minutes with Noah. I don't think when I posted this, you needed to tell your kid it's 3 minutes, but I think there's no harm in it.
Right.
If you want to do that, and I think they'll feel good having their time. Once Romy's dressed and she's brushing her teeth, then you do it with Noah.
Okay.
I'm not saying 9 minutes is the answer, but I think it's a good start to just not. I feel like when a kid is resisting
consecutively.
Yeah, I think it's more about when they need it the most, when they wake up right after school and right before bed. And I think when a child's resisting bedtime, they're like grasping at more of something, and we're grasping at like, how do I like get out of here? And so it becomes like this whole like dynamic. And I think being able to recognize you really want a little bit more time with me. I can lay with you for X amount of time, and like holding that boundary, as opposed to giving in one way or the other, where like she just comes out endlessly or you just end up there for 3 hours, kind of like seeing where you can meet in the middle.
Okay, so also like let's say John's there. Like a lot of times like there are things that are just like my zone. Like I do this and I do that and he does XYZ, right? But like if he's there, like should he stay quiet? Like cuz sometimes I'm like, can you say something?
But I think talking about it before with him is helpful, and saying what it is that you feel you would need.
Right. Like you, I have like a slow to warm kid, and there was like a difference between like slow to warm and just being like whack. Like, I don't know. Like, I was just like,
why do you feel like it's whack?
Like
Were
she
you
was-
like that growing up?
yes,
You were shy.
Yes, it's shocking. For those that know me, I was shy. And I still have like moments where I'm like, I can't talk to the maitre d'. Like you talk to the maitre d'. Like I don't know. I can't.
Do you think that's
I
like
need to
why
find my
it's-
big girl voice. But like
Do you think
that was
that's
her
why
problem.
it triggers you though? I want to like step back from Romy's problem.
Yes, let's
I feel
talk
like,
about my triggers.
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like
maybe.
thinking about
yes, but I was also the
why
youngest.
it bothers you so much.
I
Like
guess-
why is it so bad?
It's not bad. And I feel like, but I think at the beginning of pre-K, I was like, I would see other kids and be like, oh, why can't she be like more like that or this or whatever? Fast forward to like the end of the year, there was a music share in pre-K and she like shut down. And they put her on the end. So like not to put her like in the center because she didn't like to be the center
Music
of attention.
shares like when they sing a song.
Yes.
to the
So
parents.
they have that in pre-K also. And I like broke down. And this was like in May. So like she's had a whole year of like becoming confident. And like the teachers had told me like she's speaking up more, she's raising her hand more, she is fine if we like randomly call on her to answer a question. And then so I was like expecting like a little more from her. And then I literally I
In the moment?
Yeah, I mean, like I tried to keep it together and then I ran out of there and was like sobbing to like one of the teachers.
Did she see?
No, she didn't. But like, and then like I said goodbye to her and I was like, you tried so hard, like whatever. And then John and I walked home and I was like bawling my eyes out. Like just like, I guess I felt like a failure. I didn't prepare her enough. Also, this kind of was like, went back to like picture day that year. She literally wouldn't smile. And then there was the retake like a month or two later. And like they did do picture day like 3 weeks or 4 weeks into school. So she wasn't like
Right.
used to it. But then like the retake was in December. And I'll show you the picture. Like she's like, and everyone like at the end of the year, like my friends from other grades or like people will be like, oh my God, Romy's picture. Like she looks so pissed. And like, how do you not like take that to, like, that's not who she is. And whatever, she had a
Right.
moment. And by the way, like all the teachers that year were like, there's always one kid and it's yours this year.
All of this sounds like just so relatable. I think so many people could relate to it, like that we build up experiences, especially when our kids are so young. It's like, how do we want to remember it? We feel it's a reflection on us. Oh, there's all these other kids. And is everyone thinking like, oh, Blake must be doing something for her kid to be X, Y, and Z? And so I have all of that in my head too. And I think many other people do too. Something that has helped me so much in this, because I've been that kid, am raising two that in different times are like, why are they the only ones? Is seeing it happen to other people and being like, I remember seeing other people experience different versions of what we're talking about and them not knowing that it wasn't as monumental to them and knowing how much I was probably bringing to the experience and being like, wait, if that were me, like I'd be devastated. How are they like, okay? And thinking about that helped put into perspective that like, it's probably really cute one day to look back that Romy was doing that.
Right.
Is what, like,
and I didn't like shame her at all. Like
No, I know.
I've never like, I mean, with the picture day thing, like there was, I'm trying to think. I asked if I could be there and they said yes. It didn't work. But like fast forward to last year, kindergarten, she took the picture. I was like in the lobby just in case they let me do that. But like she smiled. Everyone was like,
Right.
like everyone that knew her in pre-K was like involved and like so proud of her. And then like the music share, she was like in the center.
Thriving. Thinking about what is really behind it for you and knowing that these things aren't reflective of you as a parent. Kids are born with temperaments and some of it does come from us. But it's not like you've made her not want to smile for a picture or like you've done something to not like honor her that she's like too shy and in music share. You know what I mean? Like knowing that it's not a reflection of us. Taking everything that we talked about, what do you feel like is the one thing that sticks out that you're like, okay, like I feel better equipped?
I think I could figure the penis thing out. Well, so sometimes my kids call it a like to your point before, should I like take that out of the vocabulary? That is another name for it.
It is, but I think it's also...
It's not like they're calling it like a schmoopy.
I think you can say, you know, some people might think that that's not the nicest thing to call it. And so we can start calling it penis.
Okay. I'm feeling more confident like tackling bedtime.
So
like,
what are you going to do tonight when she's like...
well, I'm going to try that 3-minute thing.
Okay,
can I start it even though I didn't do it this morning?
Okay, great. I can't wait to hear about it.
Yes. Stay tuned, everyone.
Since this is our first episode, I'm not really sure the best way to log off, but thank you all for listening and get ready for the next one.